हेलो दोस्तों, बिगनर्स माइंड में आपका स्वागत है। और अभी हम कर रहे हैं इकोनॉमिक्स। ठीक है। चैप्टर नंबर 2 है, पार्ट नंबर 2 है। इससे पहले का अपलोड कर दिया है, नहीं देखा तो प्लेलिस्ट बना रखी है, उसमें जाकर देख सकते हैं। मोड ऑफ डाटा कलेक्शन। हैव यू एवर come across a television show in which reporters ask questions from children, housewives, or general public regarding their examination, performance, or a brand of soap, or a political party? The purpose of asking questions is to do a survey for collection of data. There are three basic ways of collecting data: personal interviews, mailing, questionnaire, surveys, and telephone interview. Personal interviews. This method is used when the researcher has access to all the members. The researcher or investigator conducts face-to-face interviews with the respondents. Personal interviews are preferred due to various reasons. Personal contact. Personal contact is made between the respondent and the interviewer. The interviewer has the opportunity of explaining the study and answering the queries of respondent. The interviewer can request the respondent to expand on answers that are particularly important. Misinterpretation and misunderstanding can be avoided. Watching the reactions of respondents can provide supplementary information. Personal interview has some demerits too. It is expensive as it requires trained interviewers. It takes longer time to complete the survey. Presence of the researcher may inhibit respondent from saying what they really think. When the data in a survey are collected by mail, the questionnaire is sent to each individual by mail with a request to complete and return it by a given date. The advantages of this method are that it is less expensive. It allows the researcher to have access to people in remote areas too, who might be difficult to reach in person or by telephone. It does not allow influencing of the respondents by the interviewer. It also permits the respondents to take sufficient time to give thoughtful answers to the questions. These days, online surveys or surveys through short messaging service, that is SMS, are popular. Do you know how an online survey is conducted? The disadvantages of mail survey are that there is less opportunity to provide assistance in clarifying instructions, so there is possibility of misunderstanding the questions. Mailing is also likely to produce low response rates due to certain factors such as returning the questionnaire without completing it, not returning the questionnaire at all, loss of questionnaire in the mail itself, etc. Telephone interviews. In a telephone interview, the investigator asks questions over the question the telephone. The advantages of telephone interviews are that they are cheaper than personal interviews and can be conducted in a shorter time. They allow the researcher to assist the respondent by clarifying the questions. Telephonic interview is better in case where the respondents are required to answer certain questions in personal interviews. The disadvantage of this method is access to people, as many people may not own telephones. फिर आ जाते हैं प्लॉट सर्वे. Once the questionnaire is ready, it is advisable to conduct a tryout with a small group, which is known as pilot survey or pre-testing of the questionnaire. The pilot survey helps in providing a preliminary idea about the survey. It helps in pre-testing of the questionnaire so as to know the shortcomings and drawbacks of the questions. Plot survey also help in assessing the suitability of questions, clarity of instructions, performance of animators, and the cost and time involved in द एक्चुअल सर्वे। अब आ जाते हैं पर्सनल इंटरव्यू के एडवांटेज और डिसएडवांटेज। हाईएस्ट रिस्पॉन्स रेट, मोस्ट एक्सपेंसिव, allows use allow use of all types of questions, better for using open ended questions, allow clarification of ambiguous questions। डिसएडवांटेज पहला तो मोस्ट एक्सपेंसिव, पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ इन्फ्लुएंसिंग रिस्पोंडेंट्स, मोर टाइम टेकिंग। मेल इंटरव्यू, लीस्ट एक्सपेंसिव, ओनली मेथड टू रीच रिमोट एरियाज, नो इन्फ्लुएंस एंड रिस्पोंडेंट। मेंटेन्स anonymity of respondents, best for sensitive questions, cannot be used by illiterates। Long response time, does not allow explanation of unambiguous questions, reactions cannot be voiced। Telephonic interviews, relatively low cost, relatively less influence on respondents, relatively high response rate, limited use, reactions cannot be voiced, possibility of influencing respondents। Census and sample surveys, census or complete enumeration, a survey which includes every element of the population is known as census or the method of complete enumeration। If certain agencies are interested in studying the total population in India, they have to obtain information from all the households in rural and urban India. It is carried out every 10 years. A house to house enquiry is carried out, covering all households in India. Demographic data on birth and death rates, literacy and employment, life expectancy, size and composition of population, etc., are collected and published by the Registered Journal of India. The last census of India was held in 2011. According to the census to 2011, population of India was 121.09 crore, which was 102.87 crore in 2001. Census 1901 indicated that the population of the country was 23.83 crore. Since then, in a period of 110 years, the population of the country has increased by more than 97 crore. The average annual growth rate of population, which was 2.2% year in the decade 1971 to 81, came down to 1.97% in 1991 to 2001 and 1.64% during 2001 to 2011. Population and sample. Population or the universe in statistics means totality of the items under study. Thus, the population or the universe is a group to which the results of the study are intended to apply. A population is always all the individuals and items who possess certain characteristics or a set of characteristics. According to the purpose of the survey, the first task is selecting a sample list to identify the population. Once the population is identified, the researcher selects a method of studying it. If the researcher finds that survey of the whole population is not possible, then he/she may decide to select a representative sample. A sample refers to a group or section of the population from which information is to be obtained. A good sample representative sample is generally smaller than the population and is capable of providing reasonably accurate information about the population at much lower cost and shorter time. Suppose you want to study the average income of people in a certain region. According to the certain census method, you would be required to find out the income of every individual in the region, add them up and divide by number of individuals to get the average income of people in the region. This method would require huge expenditure as a large number of enumerators have to be employed. Alternatively, you select a representative sample of a few individuals from the region and find out their income. The average income of the selected group of individuals is used as an estimate of average income of the individuals of the entire region. Example: research problem to study the economic condition of agricultural laborers in Churachandpur district of Manipur. Population: all agricultural laborers in Churachandpur district. Sample: 10% of the agricultural laborers in Churachandpur district. Most of the surveys are sample surveys. These are preferred in statistics because of a number of reasons. A sample can provide reasonably reliable and accurate information at a lower cost and shorter time. As samples are smaller than population, more detailed information can be collected by conducting intensive inquiries. As we need a smaller team of enumerators, it is easier to train them and supervise their work more effectively. Now the question is, how do you do the sampling? There are two main types of sampling: random and non-random. The following description will make their distinction clear. Random sampling. As the name suggests, random sampling is one where the individual units from the population samples are selected at random. The government wants to determine the impact of the rise in petrol price on the household budget of the particular locality. For this, a representative random sample of 30 households has to be taken and studied. The names of all 300 households of are that area are written on paper and mixed. Then 30 names to be interviewed are selected one by one. In random sampling, every individual has an equal chance of being selected. In the above example, all 300 sampling units, also called sampling frame, of the population got an equal chance of being included in the sample of 30 units, and hence the sample such drawn is a random sample. This is also called lottery method. Nowadays, computer programs are used to select random samples like exit polls. You must have seen that when an election takes place, the television networks provide election coverage. They also try to predict the results. This is done through exit polls, wherein a random sample of voters who exit the polling booths are asked whom they voted for. From the data of the sample of voters, the prediction is made. You might have noticed that exit polls do not always predict correctly. Why? Non-random sampling. There may be a situation that you have to select 10 out of 100 households in a locality. 10 हैं 100 में से. You have to decide which household to select and which to reject. You may select the households conveniently conveniently suited, or the households known to you or your friend. In this case, you are using your judgment based in selecting 10 households. This way of selecting 10 out of 100 households is not a random selection. In a non-random sampling method, all the units of the population do not have an equal chance of being selected, and convenience or judgment of the investigator plays an important role in selection of the sample. They are mainly selected on the basis of judgment, purpose, convenience, or quota, and are non-random samples. Sampling and non-sampling errors. Sampling errors. A population consisting of numerical values has two important characteristics which are of relevance here. First, central tendency, which may be measured by the mean, the median, or the mode. Second, dispersion, which can be measured by calculating the standard deviation, mean deviation, and range, etc. The purpose of the sample is to get one or more estimate of the population parameters. Sampling error refers to the difference between the sample estimate and the corresponding population parameter. Actual value of the characteristic of the population, for example, average income, etc. Thus, the difference between the actual value of a parameter of the population and its estimate from the sample is the sampling error. It is possible to reduce the magnitude of sampling error by taking a larger sample. Example, consider a case of income of 5 farmers of Manipur. The variable X, income of farmers, has measured Men's 500, 550, 600, 650, 700. We note that the population average of 500 plus 550, 600 plus 660, 600 plus 650 and plus 700, और डिवाइड बाय कर देंगे 5, 3000 divided by 5, आंसर आ जाएगा 600. Now, suppose we select a sample of two individuals where X has measurement of 500 and 600. The sample average is 500 plus 600 divided by 2. कितना आ जाएगा ये 550 यानी कि 550. Here the sampling error of the estimate 600 true value minus 550 estimate कितना आ जाएगा 50. Non-sampling errors are more serious than sampling errors because a sampling error can be minimized by taking a larger sample. It is difficult to minimize non-sampling error even by taking a larger sample. Even a census can contain non-sampling errors. Some of the non-sampling errors are सैम्पलिंग बायस, मतलब कि किसी एक पार्टी की तरफ पहले से ही झुकाव है, तो फिर जो जज कर रहे हैं हम, जो जजमेंट दी है कि कौन से घर को किससे पूछेंगे, वो क्वेश्चंस सैंपल कैसे होंगे, या फिर किसी से पूछना है तो फिर उस पार्टी के बंदों से पूछ लेंगे एक तरीके से. जैसे कि कोई भी टीवी न्यूज़ मान लो, ठीक है, ये जब इलेक्शन के उसके पूछने जाते हैं एग्जिट पोल के लिए, तो 10 लोग होते हैं. 3 मान लेते हैं, एक एनडीटीवी आज तक और एक कोई और सा मान लो न्यूज़ 24. तो ये जो 10, ये आज तक वाला पहले से चाहता है कि बीजेपी वाले जीतें एग्जिट पोल में. तो ये जो 10 चूज़ करेगा, वो कौन से करेगा, जो बीजेपी को पसंद करते हैं उनका सैंपल पिक करेगा. न्यूज़ 24 मान लो चाहता है कि कोई और पार्टी कांग्रेस जीते, तो फिर ये जो 10 हैं, इन 10 वो लोग होंगे जो कांग्रेस को पसंद करते हैं, और ये 10 न्यूट्रल. तो फिर ये 10 जो होगा वैसे पिक करेगा नॉर्मल. तो फिर जो एग्जिट पोल आएगा लगभग कैसा आएगा, एक्चुअल आएगा, न्यूट्रल आएगा लगभग. ठीक है, तो इसलिए कई बार ये सही होते हैं, कई बार ये गलत हो जाते हैं. Sampling bias occurs when the sampling plan is such that some members of the target population could not possibly be included in the sample. Non-response error. Non-response occurs if an interviewer is unable to contact a person listed in the sample or a person from the sample refuses to respond. In this case, the sample observation may not be representative. Errors in data acquisition. This type of error arises from recording of incorrect response. Suppose the teacher asks the students to measure the length of the teacher's table in the classroom. The measurement by the students may differ. The differences may occur due to differences in measuring tape, carelessness of the students, etc. Similarly, suppose we want to collect data on prices of orange. We know that prices vary from shop to shop and from market to market. Prices also vary according to the quality. Therefore, we can only consider the average prices. Recording mistakes can also take place as the enumerators or the respondents may commit errors in recording or transcripting the data. For example, he or she may record 13 instead of 31. Census of India and SSO. There are some agencies both at the national and state level to collect, process, and tabulate the statistical data. Some of the agencies at the national level are Census of India, National Sample Survey (NSS), Central Statistics Office (CSO), Registrar General of India (RGI), Directorate General of Commercial Intelligence and Statistics (DGCIS), Labour Bureau, etc. The Census of India provides the most complete and continuous demographic record of population. The census is being regularly conducted every 10 years since 1881. The first census after independence was conducted in 1951. The census officials collect information on various aspects of population such as the size, density, sex ratio, literacy, migration, rural-urban distribution, etc. Census data is interpreted and analyzed to understand many economic and social issues in India. The NSS was established by the Government of India to conduct nationwide surveys on socio-economic issues. The NSS does continuous surveys in successive rounds. The data collected by NSS are released through reports and its quarterly journal Survection. NSS provides periodic estimates of literacy to school enrollment, utilization of educational services, employment, unemployment, manufacturing and service sector enterprises, morbidity, maternity, child care, utilization of the public distribution system, etc. The NSS 16th round survey, January and June 2004, was on morbidity and healthcare. The NSS 68th round survey 2011-12 was on consumer expenditure. The NSS also collects detail on of industrial activities and retail prices for various goods. They are used by Government of India for planning purposes. Conclusion: economic facts expressed in terms of numbers are called data. The purpose of data collection is to understand, explain, and analyze a problem and causes behind it. Primary data is obtained by conducting a survey. Survey includes various steps which need to be planned carefully. There are various agencies which collect, process, tabulate, and publish statistical data. These are used as secondary data. However, the choice of source of data and mode of data collection depends on the objective of the study. इसके बाद ये आ जाता है तुम्हारा रिकैप. Data is tool which helps in reaching a sound conclusion on any problem. Primary data is based on first-hand information. Survey can be done by personal interviews, mailing questionnaires, and telephone interviews. Census covers every individual unit belonging to the population. Sample is a smaller group selected from the population from which the relevant information would be sought. In a random sampling, every individual is given an equal chance of being selected for providing information. Sampling error is due to the difference between the value of the sample estimate and the value of the corresponding population parameter. Non-sampling errors can arise in data acquisition by non-response or by bias in selection. Census of India and National Sample Survey are two important agencies at the national level which collect, process, and tabulate data on many important economic and social issues. ठीक है, और इसके बाद अब अगला चैप्टर है, अगला चैप्टर करेंगे अब कल.